Hello students, today we will be working on 4.6 literal equations. This is page 88 in the yellow packet. Now I know we skipped 4.5, but we will go back to that section, so don't worry. Our objective, I can solve literal equations that involve numeric constants and coefficients to highlight a variable of interest. That's a mouthful. So a literal equation is an equation where variables represent known values. Literal equations are used to represent things like distance, time, interest, and slope as variables in an equation. So our first one is basically something you've always seen probably 100 times before. b minus 6 equals 10. We're going to add 6 to both sides. And b equals 16. Now, we can combine 10 and 6 because they're both numbers. We're now going to solve equations for y where there's variables and you cannot combine the variables. So on number 2, we're solving for y. So to get rid of y, all we have to do is add m. So we're going to add m here. And there's nothing to add m to, so I'm just going to put it there at the end. And I can't combine n, p, or m, so I just list them separately. Y equals, and in general, we write them alphabetical. So m comes first, and it's positive, plus n minus p. You could list them the other way as well. It's just they, in general, like to go alphabetical. Okay, now it gets a little more challenging. Number 3 says solve for x. Here's x, and I have a 1 added to it. I'm going to go subtract 1. And I cannot combine that with any of those, and so I just put subtract 1. So x equals, and I'm going to kind of, for lack of space, I'm going to do that. Negative n over p minus 1. That's what x is equal to. You will not be getting single-digit answers on most of these problems. This was kind of an exception to the rule there. Okay? Now, number 4, we're going to solve for r. It's got negative r over 3. So what I'm going to do, it's divide by 3, and we're solving for r, so I'm going to multiply by 3. So negative r equals 3x. Now I can divide by negative 1 here. So r equals negative 3x. We have to simplify it. Okay. All right. 7 and 8 are a little bit of a trickster here. On 7, we're going to solve for x right here. So we have to get rid of this negative, and we have to get rid of the k. So it's negative 1 times x times k equals w divided by v. Okay. So the next thing we have to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide by k. Now, what's this when I have a fraction divided by k? What? Okay, this is what you do when you divide by k. It's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Did you see that? So dividing by k is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay. So I can cross that out. Now I have negative x equals w times 1 is w, v times k is vk. And now I can divide by negative 1. And again, that's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So we get x, hopefully you can see this, equals negative w over vk. All right. So that was a bit of a challenge there because you had a fraction within a fraction. Now, number 8, we're solving for y. Ooh, this is kind of a trickster too because y is on the denominator. First thing I want to do is get rid of the y on the denominator. So to get it on the numerator, I'm going to multiply by y over here, multiply by y over here, which will eliminate it on the bottom there. So now I have y G over A equals CX. Now I have a G divided by A. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, A over G. And I know this is tricky. Okay, so I get Y all by itself because the A's are gone and the G's are gone. So I get Y equals C times X times A. I'm going to put A in the beginning. And there's your final answer. Yes, it's a bit of a trickster. So 7 and 8, I would say, are probably a couple of the hardest ones. Let's go on to a couple more on the next page. Okay, number 10, xn plus m equals h. We are going to solve for n. So first we have to get rid of what's added and subtracted. We have an m, so I'm going to go minus m. So xn equals h minus m. And I divide what's in front of n. So n equals h minus m over x. Okay, hopefully you can read that. Okay. Now, 12 is kind of an easy one. It looks complicated, but it's kind of easy. So we're solving for t, so we have to get rid of this. This is a, so I'm going to go minus a here, minus a there. There's a minus m, I'm going to go plus m, plus m. And that gets rid of all of that. So I'm left with t equals, I cannot combine any of these because there's not the same variable to the same power. So n minus p minus a plus m. Bam, we are done with that one. Easy. Looks hard, but it's easy. Okay. This one on number 20, we are supposed to solve for m right here. So again, this looks kind of hard, but it's not bad at all. Okay, I'm going to go minus a, minus a. I cannot combine it with anything there. So now I have negative m equals negative n over p minus a. Then I divide by a negative 1, and so I divide by negative 1, which basically just switches all the signs. So m equals, now this negative n right here becomes positive n over p, and minus a will become plus a. And I'm done. Okay, students, you can get the rest of this. You rock.